3 years ago, I published my video How to Start Practicing Magic. Laying the foundation of a daily magical practice, the video covers some basics, plus a few perks I found on my journey. While it still holds value, the more I practiced, the more I found I'd do some things differently if I were starting now. So in this one, I'll share what I think is the fastest and the most efficient way to start practicing magic. Disclaimer. Using the method of creating for my former self, these are the suggestions I'd give him after 5 years of practicing. The provided information focuses on the practical side of things. It isn't to be taken as dogma, but tested and adjusted to one's liking and goals. Everything said is based on using ritual for self-improvement, approaching things like a chaos magician, self-improver, and even a biohacker. Hence, it aims to help others with similar perspectives. Goals of magic. There are 3 main goals when starting: learning to invoke, direct and tolerate, and maximally avail of a magical force. The first means utilizing techniques and correspondences to attune yourself to a particular current, increasing awareness of its presence. The second is building tolerance, so this doesn't bring any side effects due to suppressed emotions, unresolved issues, etc. And 3, maximally availing of the astral images and probability shifts or the likelihood of something you want happening. Mindfulness and meditation. Devoting daily time to meditation is the starting point of any magical practice. You can practice mindfulness in an asana or by merely sitting still or laying on your back. This means finding a quiet place to remain perfectly still, breathing rhythmically, and observing bodily sensations, emotions, and thoughts. As magical books stress, the key isn't to judge, but to observe and accept those for what they are, and as Ikigai scholars advocate, to even invite them. According to Tim Tamashiro, mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we are doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going around us. Mindfulness meditation rewires your brain to understand each moment as it happens in a clearer way." Unquote. Besides all its benefits, mindfulness teaches you to accept your totality, and this is crucial for magic, as magic increases awareness of aspects of you weren't previously aware of. Plus, controlling your breath is the first step towards succeeding with magic and self-control. Journaling. Usually, you're taught to have 2 journals, one for dreams and another for rituals. While these are important, as discussed in the previous video, in this one I suggest stepping things further and starting some sort of bullet journaling. Also called Bujo and popularized by Ryder Carroll, bullet journaling is a mindfulness practice designed as a productivity system. It declutters the mind, increasing awareness of how exactly your days go. It basically lets you live with full intention, which is mandatory for magic. Intentional living. Marcus Aurelius said eliminating the non-essential doubles the impact of the essential. Gurdjieff advocated living each day with a peculiar intent you write down. Bullet journaling is just that. It reduces the chances of mechanicalness and being a victim of internal and external conditioning/programming. In my humble opinion, bullet journaling is one of the best things to do for your practice and life. It is indispensable for rituals and self-improvement, as it allows tracking exactly how much your magic actually contributes to personal growth and accomplishing goals. Bullet journaling helps you take ownership and prevents using the work for wrong reasons like entertainment and distraction. Magic increases clarity, and bullet journaling facilitates that, though this video is not sponsored. Knowing the difference. Suppose you're a writer or coder. By increasing the ability to stay focused, a simple daily meditation helps with either. On the contrary, how different is to add working with Mercury for a week or 2? In the same way, meditation will help if you're an artist, but what if you also start working with Venus regularly? Tying workings to actual life progress and not just the 30 minutes around the working is something no book told me, yet also one I definitely regret not starting earlier. It is how you find attribution's actual utility and remove the non-essential from the essential. Let me know if you agree. The weaker hand. Speaking of Gurdjieff, start utilizing your weaker hand in your daily life. This increases right hemisphere activity associated with everything holistic, intuitive, and mystical. Besides writing, drawing, or playing an instrument, this can be doing daily chores, cleaning, etc. Plus, using your weaker hand regularly boosts willpower, which, as we know, is limited and unreliable. The Tree of Life. Next comes the middle pillar. Based on the 11th-fold seal, the middle pillar resembles a chakra meditation. Though essential, I suggest learning it as fast as possible and transitioning to its more elaborate 3 pillars version. Following the lighting flash, the last works with almost the entire diagram, and there are 2 main reasons to using it more frequently. 1. Unlike the yogi or mystic, the practical magician doesn't necessarily seek the middle way. They primarily operate with the side pillars of function. And 2. You utilize practical information from the get-go by taking time and mastering the exercise. Mark Stavish mentions going through the whole tree before starting a practice. Experimenting with that, I follow my workings with meditation, beginning with the 3 pillars technique. And based on personal experience, this further infuses the psyche with the current, especially if you do the appropriate coloring. The 3 pillars technique teach you the process of creation, the Yod-Heh Vav-Heh formula, etc. It lets you go through all 4 worlds for each sephira and perhaps work with different skills. You can also add cards, letters, and sigils for the lighting flash paths. And while this may not seem like much, it's actually information you use as long as you work with the tree. The fields of operation. Not adopting the Operant Model earlier is another I regret. Popularized by Scott Stanwick and found in Crowley's books, the Operant Model follows a lesser pentagram ritual with a lesser hexagram one. Thus far nothing new. Yet, unlike the traditional banishing, this enables versatility. The Operant Model uses combinations of dimensions to set different magical environments. Based on personal experience, these are filters through which magic runs, and the reason is that they more or less determine how the subsequent rites impact your sphere of being. Lesser rituals. A key to remember from the get-go is that lesser doesn't mean less cool than greater and supreme. It implies general, not specific. Working with microcosmic influences, LRP impacts the aspects of yourself related to yourself, i.e. your inner world. LRH deals with macrocosmic forces or the peculiarities of your being associated with the external. Given that there are 4 different fields of operation to utilize based on goals and situations. Banishing field. Stressed by most magical books, this one shuts down all ongoing spells and operations. You can think of it as a magical EMP. It follows LBRP with LBRH. Centering field. This keeps magic purely internal, holding outer influences at bay. It follows LIRP with LBRH. Operant field. This provides hard probability shifts by purifying the microcosm while invoking the external/divine. It follows LBRP with LIRH. Invoking field. Having the most significant impact by engaging all aspects of your being. This follows the invoking forms of LRP and LRH. While all have their purpose, discovering those with most utility in your life is critical. Based on my and others' experiences, hardcore introverts don't benefit from too many banishings, which tend to produce encapsulating effects. Sometimes, this makes one's goals and aspirations distant and somewhat inaccessible. In other cases, it can bring inadequate apathy and wanting to retreat from the world, which, as we know from the unfortunate, isn't really healthy. On the other hand, the same approach may be the go-to for an extrovert who's permanently distracted and all over the place. People doing a single daily practice can opt for the more balanced operant field. Others wanting maximum impact all the time go with invoking in the morning and operant in the evening. That's with occasional banishings when the case calls for it. Besides giving the highest probability shifts, the third lets you disconnect from the thought and spiritual forms without shutting down ongoing operations. A fourth group does either of those, but switches the directions using the tablet's ordering, the density, and/or other models. You do what works best after experimenting and finding it yourself. To master the fields of operation, I suggest my cheat sheet on it. The elements. After mastering the mentioned, it comes time to start working with the elements. In my humble opinion, the best technique for it is SIRP. Unlike some claims you may encounter, SIRP is nothing like LIRP. Sure, it can bring the 4 elements in a balanced way, yet it also incorporates Egyptian god forms, zodiac signs, and hard sephirotic names. The Supreme Pentagram also employs the 3 god names from the elemental tablets, such as those from the One of Union. Lastly, SRP renders the veil in all 4 quarters, though it has different variations. And while incorporating Enochian, SRP is not Enochian magic as it works with the Veil of Paroketh. The Veil of Paroketh. The Veil of Paroketh sits between Tiferet and Netzach and Hot. Based on personal experience, rendering it doesn't only cause an elemental influx, it also lets the following hexagram ritual have a more significant impact on Yesod, meaning that the probability shift doesn't necessarily become greater. Instead, it increases its effects on the personal subconscious, presumably due to SRP making the astral images quote-unquote more vivid. And you can think of that as increasing sensitivity. While some prefer performing SRP 4 elements before invoking a planet or zodiac sign, others keep it strictly for the elements. As with everything, the key is to find what suits you, and to master SRP, I suggest my cheat sheet and video on the right. In theory, OBW produces more potent effects. To some it adds nothing to an invoking or operant field, followed or not followed by SRP. In my humble opinion, the traditional OBW is highly cumbersome, diminishing some of the excitement and energy. Also more demanding as it requires weapons. For such reasons, I adopted and tweaked a version invented by J. Alan Moore. The same is a fusion of SRP and OBW, and besides links in the description, I'll soon have a cheat sheet on it. And if you need tablets, visit my Etsy store. Something I needed to learn earlier is that the more you enjoy doing a rite, the more you get out of it, and vice versa. And while the selection of rites varies from person to person, you should make/create yours. GIRP. As covered, the lesser rituals are general, the greater and supreme are specific and peculiar. This means that they attune your field to a particular force, and in the case of the elements, you can also do that with the Greater Pentagram and Crowley's Liber Vel Reguli. Think of the first as a less subtle version of SRP. According to some, they produce identical results. In my humble opinion, they do not, though they can both be used for working with the elemental kings. Liber Vel Reguli invokes the energies and currents of the Aeon of Horus, so it may be more appropriate if you want to entirely align yourself with the Delimic current. Vel Reguli is an ingenious rite elevating the operator above Tiferet. On the contrary, it is also a ceremony in and of itself, and to me, that's too much. It also has different directions, which may be confusing when you just start now. Declaration of intent. It is crucial to start formulating clear charges of intent. They are just as essential as the preceding them techniques. Such declarations must combine the characteristics of the force or forces you are working with and your goals, which must be maximally aligned with those characteristics. Perceive those as ciphered keywords for your subconscious. Perceive achieving your goal as an extension of your true will. To formulate proper charges of intent, start learning correspondences. You actually have a great foundation because of doing your best with the 3 pillars technique. Correspondences. The previous video advocates learning correspondences. Since this can be a daunting task, the following is the approach I'd follow if I were starting now. Invoke one element daily via SRP for an extended period. Meanwhile, learn about it and declare your charges of intent based on your studies using devices like Anki and journaling for better retention. Practice mindfulness as much as possible to recognize how the attribution translates into actual life, as very few things in magic are literal. Declare your charges of intent based on a combination of that and your goals. Apply the same for planets and zodiac signs. The bare minimum to know includes the Hebrew alphabet, the basics of the elements, zodiac and alchemical signs, the paths, the Sephiroth and the Tarot. Also the rise direction mapping on the Tree of Life. On the other hand, this is not school or the academia rewarding passive memorization for the sake of it. Magic is about practicing, i.e. doing and experiencing, even more so in humanity's current stage of development, which is about fire and force, and thus taking a lot of action. In that sense, magic is like science, life, art, music, coding, self-improvement, entrepreneurship, biohacking, and other practical skills. You get better by practicing. Real education. In his self-help classic, The 1-Year Manual, Israel Regardie explains reading does very little to bring one to their divine nature. Henry Ford and Napoleon Hill agree a truly educated person does not memorize all the information but can obtain the right when needed. The best-selling Modern Magick supports a similar statement regarding attributions. Donald Michael Craig also states that the only way to figure out deeper secrets is by accessing the deeper realms, and that's done by practicing, though getting into flow states also provides insights. Planets and Zodiac signs. This leads us to the last rite to add to your daily practice. In traditional Golden Dawn style, that would be SRH. Based on LRH, SRH uses different geomantic shapes. On the contrary, many find those confusing and tedious to adopt for all Sephiroth. For this and the following two reasons, I offer Crowley's GRH. 1. It's exceedingly more accessible and easy to use due to employing nothing but earth hexagrams. And 2. It feels far more intentional as it utilizes an identical hexagram in all 5 directions. I suggest starting by working with the Quartz of Angels and then get more specific with the names of the 4 worlds as you increase proficiency. And luckily, you'll have pretty solid foundation knowing many of those due to the 3 pillars, right? The planets of the week. Initially, it is recommended to work with each planet on its day. After that, I suggest determining which forces you have an access of and emphasizing the opposites on their appropriate hours. Besides balancing your psyche, you may find such an approach helps improve your life the most. Let me know if it does. Applications. Doing SRH or GRH requires 2 free apps. Being a landing page, the first is Planetary Hours. Tracking your region, Planetary Hours, gives you all planetary hours. That's it. The second is Starwalk 2. Also available for iOS and Android, Starwalk 2 provides the planets or the constellation's direction based on your current location. It's all you. Although magical books use terms like micro and macrocosm or subjective and objective, they all represent different aspects of your being. Eventually, you may find that the last extends beyond what you're typically used to. And as I like to say, magic is not only in your head, but it usually starts there. Considering this, the Setian pentagram is an excellent symbol to keep yourself grounded in this truth. While the traditional pentagram expresses spirit's dominion over matter, employed from Telema, this one stands for spirits descending into matter, the fusion of macro and microcosm, also expressed by the rose cross. In the same symbol, the alchemical process or change does not touch the circle, i.e. the outer world, the collective objective. It is for the person to decide what to do with it. And to be in such position, one has to be a vessel for the light. Magic brings energies from the higher to the lower worlds. One should be a vessel for the light to carry those and obtain results in a saya. The first part is recognizing the astral images, shifts and synchronicities when they start happening. The second, which though massive seems vastly underrated and neglected, is helping your magic with rigorous self-improvement, turning yourself into a being capable of transforming the light into proper action, producing the desired results. So the story's moral, with the person praying to God to win the lottery, also applies here. Get healthy. For many of us, this started with basic stuff like taking care of one's health, quitting addictions like drugs, booze, porn, and sugar, adopting a proper diet, and fasting, resting, and daily exercise regimen. Also taking ownership of your information diet and time on social media. Bullet journaling can help with all these, magic too, as long as you use it accordingly. The Nephesh. Kabbalistically, this is getting your Nephesh under control. It further aligns your whole day with who you want to be through habits, systems, and routines, carrying the light through the world of action. The more you achieve that, the more you can take advantage of magic's effects. Also, keep up with the latest psychology and behavioral science and decision science studies, and you'll be better prepared for potentially resurfacing conflicts, obstacles, uncomfortable truths, etc. Natural law. Magic works in mysterious ways, yet it follows natural law. Align yourself with that as best as you can. This doesn't imply waiting to build the perfect lifestyle and so-called discipline to start practicing, and neither to first get enlightened so you can do practical work. Quite the opposite. View magic and self-help as the two aspects of the same thing, your personal development. Avail of them to build the identity of the person who possesses what you want. Utilizing magic increases the probability of building habits and systems aligned with your future self, especially when you find your true ikigai. Besides joy and personal growth, the water should provide value to others, expressing your true self as an individual in a widely digital society. Unlike what some people want you to believe, waking up early won't make you rich. On the contrary, it will give you access to all planetary hours, so you can use suitable planet to increase the probability of making the most out of your already existing writing, coding, or creating habit, leading to financial gain. If you don't have those, it will increase likelihood to develop valuable skills and perhaps start business that earn money. And while you practice them attuned to the energy, the law of attraction may suddenly kick in, landing you on a conclusion or an idea, unveiling new opportunities. The same is true with finding a partner. A successful operation with such a goal wouldn't be someone hot knocking on your door. It would increase the likelihood of building an attractive personality, i.e. getting in shape, prospering, working on yourself, studying culture, philosophy, etc., and then attracting another such person to likely expand your horizons. Compounding effects. Like habits and focused work, well-intended and well-structured rituals have compounding effects. Yet, as I like to say, with or without magic, extraordinary results require extraordinary effort. Magic works on what's already there. Use it to continually put yourself in a better position, perhaps climbing Maslow's hierarchy of needs and eventually achieving self-transcendence and enlightenment. Also, document your journey so others can benefit from it. Use blogging, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you prefer. Otherwise, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and my newsletter for more content. Consider checking my digital products, music and books. Support me with either of the links in the description and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time.